This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so again, good morning, good evening, everyone. So as already explained by Rama in the demo session, like in this training, so this training is a part of EPPM training. So you have already seen like in EPPM, so EPPM is like a product catalog from the SAP. And in that product catalog, we have a six different products. Okay, or you can say six different component or six different modules, which includes your PS project system, PPM, CPM, and Enterprise Project Connector, Innovation Management, and one reporting tool. So what we will going to cover in this training. So majorly this training is for project system, but because in project system we have a two type of main scenario, your customer project and the capex project, or you can say the investment project. So most of the organization use the investment management module as well in their capex scenario, or you can say IM is a module in the SAP which deals with the your budget management and fund allocation, and it has a very tight integration with the project system. So how our training will look like going forwards. So we will start our training from the IM, like investment management. So we will learn what is investment management. Okay, we will going through the investment management overview, and then we will see a different functionalities of the investment management, like what is their master data, how we create the master data, how the planning works in the investment management, budgeting, and how the value transfer from IM to PS or the other modules. I'll show you the agenda on the screen. You can see the Excel sheet. So this Excel sheet contains the agenda of the entire training. So we will cover all these topics. Okay, most certainly not in the sequence. Some things can be covered early, but yeah, this is what we will going to cover in the entire training session. Like we will start with the IM. So in each topic we have a subtopic. For example, we will going through the IM overview, like what do we have uh, functionality available in the investment management. Then we will drill down the each topic of that module. For example, in IM we have the IM structure. Again, in the IM structure we have a different subtopics like investment program, investment position, and what is their configuration. Okay, so the intent of training is like first I will explain you like what is the topic. For example, what is the investment program. So first we will understand from the theory point of view, then we will create some data in the system as a user point of view, and then we will understand the configuration behind that master data or whatever transaction we are performing. So first we will learn the theory part, what it is, then we will do as a end user in the system, and then we will learn the configuration behind it, or you can say configuration sometimes will be parallelly. Okay, so we will cover IM structure, IM cost planning, IM budgeting, IM structure, and then AR. So AR here is representing your appropriation request. So here are some of the info, name is marked as a short form. I will explain as and when we will cover those topics. After the AR, we will move into the PS. So when we will move into the PS, we will have again several topics of the PS. For example, PS structure. So in PS structure, we will learn our different elements of the PS structure and master data. For example, your project definition, WBS elements, network activities, and their configuration. Okay, apart then we will learn all type of cost planning in the PS, revenue planning, material planning, date planning, PS budgeting, execution, settlement. Okay, so how we will cover all these topics, so we will take few examples in each session, and first we will learn each topic individually, or you can say in a small business cases. Once we will cover all these topics, then we will run and then we will execute the end-to-end business scenarios like we used to do in the real time. Okay, for the business, for example, you can see this maintenance project. So I will explain once we will cover all those topics, like how a opex project will work, what is the start point, and what all are the different steps involved. So once you will have the idea individually, like what is project budgeting, what is planning, how the IM integration works, then you will are in a more better position to understand the end-to-end cycle of the other business processes, like how maintenance project work, how your assembly process or make to order, or you can say a customer project work, PS reporting, technical objects. So these are the once we are about to end the training, then I will explain like what all are the different technical object we have in the PS, like few tables, what is BAPI, body, some basic technical information. If you are more keen to learn what it is inside, then I will definitely explain few more things in the detail. But as a starter, I will give you some heads up like what these are information, why it is helpful to understand from the functional point of view. And then at last, we will cover the SAP methodologies, like what is the earlier methodology we use in the SAP implementation project, and what is the new methodology, for example, Activate. So this is the overall agenda look like. Might be there are a few topics which you cannot see here. This is most common and the most required topics we have covered, which is mostly required in the industry. But if you feel okay, I am missing something here and you wanted to learn a specific thing, then definitely I'll cover during the course or at the end of the course. Okay, do you have any question around the agenda or the way of learning? If no, then we can move to the IM overview walkthrough.
Excuse me, sir. I have one question.
Yes, Imran.
Sir, result analysis is there, no?
Yeah, result analysis is a part of customer project. So once we will cover the customer project, I'll explain.
Okay. And in IM, capitalization keys are there.
And IM
In IM, cap keys.
cap keys don't use actually. It's a rarely used actually. We have never used in the industry. So I will explain like what most certainly do. The focus of the course will be like the 90% of functionality which is mostly used in the industry rather than just focusing on the some rare functionalities which never use or rarely use. You can say it's less than 1 or 2%. You will not find it anywhere in the industry. No one use cap keys and other things. I will explain like what is mostly using in the industry.
Okay, sir. As
but
long as like
but
result analysis is there, yeah, it's
yeah,
because
so you're already working in the SAP
yes,
in PS.
no, not in PS. I'm
Okay, in which module?
FIC. FIC.
FIC. Okay, great. Okay, no problem, Imran. So Imran, what anyhow we will explain few specific topic as well which you think it's useful, but most certainly we will give you the clear picture from the industry, whatever like from we have worked like me, Rama, and the other colleagues we have worked like having consolidated of. We have some other colleague as well we have we have worked on like more than 20 years in the SAP PS, and so we have collated all this information like which is generally used by the big companies, small companies. So you will find, okay, so the intent is as a beginner you should learn what is mostly used rather than which is rarely used in the industry.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so coming back to the IM overview, and if you have any question, just park it during the explanation. So I will open the room in between as well as the sometime start of the session and the end of the session. If you have any question, so I'll explain. So today's like initial 1 or 2 session might be you feel bored because it's most like a theoretical part. I will explain you few more things which will be might be difficult to digest. But as soon as we will going into the deep of the each topic, for example, the master data, and when we will start doing in the system, then you will feel it more engaged and entertaining. Okay, so let me just start the few of the things is already explained by the Rama, but yeah, again, I will touch upon those topics. For example, the project type. So this is our agenda for, you can say, today. Like, what is the project type, investment project business case, what is the organization structure in SAP and how it will impact the PS. Okay, how to access the SAP system, you can say the S4HANA system, what is the SAP landscape, and then we will see few of the IM things. So project type is very important in the project system. Okay, whether you are a SAP consultant and whether you are a non-SAP consultant. So whenever you will work in the project system, that is the first thing which will come in your mind. So like for example, whether you are going for an implementation or whether you are going for a support project. So wherever you are discussing PS, either with the business or with the other consultant, this is the first thing which will come in your mind, or it should come in your mind, like what is the project type. Okay, so whenever we are discussing with the business, we will ask this question, as you can say, as a starter. So we will ask, okay, which type of project you are using. We will not say the project system, we will say, okay, in your company, which type of project you are using. So for example, we will use a different terminology like capitalization, capital project, customer project, sales project, like that. But we should know as a consultant what is the difference in each type of project. Also, if you are going for an interview, like most probably like 90% chances, like this is will be the first question interview will ask to you, like explain the project type. So you should be very clear what is the project type we have in the PS. Okay, and what is the main differences. So key here is the main differences. Let me know if any issue with the voice or screen sharing. Okay, I mean in meanwhile, we can say in the project system we can classify project by the financing. Okay, so financing means who is funding for that project. So that is the first classification. So what will happen, we have for example, let's say there is a construction company. Okay, so that construction company execute the project for their customer. Okay, or you can say that construction company deals in the construction of building. But now that construction company have a two situation, like they also, so first situation is like they wanted to have their own building for their own employee. Okay, that is the first scenario. And second situation is like one of their customer reach out to that company and asks them to build a building based on behalf of them. So you can say that is a construction company, they are constructing a building, like they are constructing two building, one for themselves and one for their customer. So you can say the type of execution is the same. The difference here is the who is financing. So for example, here the first project, or you can say the first building which they will going to use for their own, or like for their employee purpose, or you can say admin building. So who is funding for that? The company by themselves. So that will become the internally financed project. But the second project is funded from the customer. So customer is paying to that company to build that building or you construct the building. So that is the difference here. The financing, who is financing that project. When we are saying, okay, we are investing or we are financing our own project, so that will become our investment project. Again, when we are financing by their own, we have a two type of project: investment and the overhead. What is the difference? We will understand. Okay, so investment project, by definition, you can say investment project are the project which is internally financed project, and it will generate revenue directly or indirectly, and it will be treated as an asset to the company. And we can say outcome of the investment project is always a capitalization. So all the cost will settle to the assets. Okay, so what is the attributes here? In investment project, we have a no customer involvement because we are not doing it for the customer. We are doing, or you can say we are executing it for ourselves. We don't have a revenue because it's not funded by the customer. In investment project, because it's an asset to the company at the end. So what we are doing, we are periodically capitalizing the cost to the AUC. So AUC here is the asset under construction. Sometimes you will hear as a CWIP as well, like capital work in progress. And once the project is completed, okay, then we will transfer all the project cost to the fixed asset. So that's what happened in the investment project. For example like the construction of a new building, sometimes we will directly purchase the capital item as well. That is also example of investment project. Okay. And like research and development projects, research and development project is something like in between like investment and the overhead cost project. And why is that, I'll explain. So in investment project we have an involvement of IM module, like your investment management module, project system, CO, sometime PPM and CPM as well. And the other cross module like MMFI is there. Overhead cost project, again, because it's internally financed, so we have no customer involvement, no revenue. The difference here is it's not an asset to company. Okay, so we are not creating any asset at the end of the overhead cost project. So it will be a cost to company, and all the expenses will be transferred to the expense account, or you can say the cost centers sometimes. So no customer, no revenue in the overhead projects. And because we are transferring all our cost to the expense account or expense head like cost center, so there is no capitalization. Example, R&D projects. So here you can notice one thing, like this R&D project is mentioned here in the overhead as well as in the investment project. And why is that? What is the example, what is the reason? So sometimes this can be also asked in the interview, or people will ask, okay, why R&D is a part of overhead as well as the investment. So the reason is, whenever a R&D project will start, so let's say we have a pharma company. Okay. And if that pharma company or any manufacturing company, if they wanted to work on a new prototype, so sometimes what happen, company allocated some funds for a new prototype. So they will say, okay, we will have a budget of $5 million, so build a new technology or a new prototype, or you can say a new efficient version of existing product. Okay. So they will say, okay, we have a $5 million, we will invest $5 million in a span of 2 years or 3 years. So in R&D, what will happen, we will put our money in the our resources like employees and the other technologies. We will try to find the solution of a existing problem, or you can say we wanted to build a new thing. But it is not always necessary that we have a successful outcome of the R&D project. So R&D projects outcome defines whether it will become your overhead or it will become your investment project. So let's say at the end, if that project gets got success, okay, if let's say whatever we want, we have successfully built the new prototype, then it will become our investment project. And if it fails for their object, like we unable to identify, okay, then all the cost is will be treated as a overhead cost project. So that's the reason R&D project is a part of overhead as well as the investment project. I will give you one more example in the real life. So for example, the mining companies. Okay, so mining companies, what they will do when they will identify a new site. Okay, so let's say they find a new land and they have some evidence. Okay, so this land can have a some precious metal. So what they will do, they will set up their R&D team, and then they will create a project in the system. Okay, so they have a different phase. I will not go in that much technical detail. So what initially they will do, they will set up a team of like geoscientists and other peoples, and then they provide some machinery and tools. And what they want from them, okay, so they will say, okay, we are investing, spending some money on our employees on and some on money on the resources to find out whether to do the mining will be in like good or not. Good or not means whether it will be profitable or not. So what they will do, they will do some research and study like in 6 months or in a year, sometimes more than 2 years as well. So they will find to try to find more evidences. Okay, what will be the materials we have, what is the percentage, and if we extract all those materials, then after extracting, if we do all the refining and the other chemical process, so it will be a profitable to the company or not. So what happens, sometimes they find, okay, even though that land has the metal, but it is not profitable to the company if they will extract it and do the all the chemical filtration and the refinement process. So at the end it will not be profitable, so they will mark it as a closer. They will say, okay, we will not do the mining here, and they will close that project, and the all the cost whatever they have spent on the employees and the other machinery as a part of pre-feasibility study, that will be transferred to the overhead accounts. And if they got success, they will say, okay, yes, we can do the mining here and it will be profitable. Then they will continue that project, and that will become their investment project. So that's something is the difference between a overhead and the investment project. Here the module involved is your PS, CO, PPM and CPM. And then we have a externally financed project. So externally financed project is our customer project. Okay, so we call it as a customer project as well. So whenever we are saying a customer project, it's simple, is like it's our revenue project or it is our externally financed project. It means we are doing something, okay, and someone is paying us to do that. Okay, when someone is paying to that, it means we have a profitability. So project executed as per the customer requirement. So simple, because it's a customer project, so whatever they will ask. So for example, if we are in a construction company, so we will do the construction as per the customer requirement. If we are in a manufacturing company or an engineering company, we build a product as per the customer requirement. So here our main goal is to achieve the organizational goal. So organizational goal is nothing, whatever customer is asking, we have to just fulfill that. Because and now here customer involvement is there, so we have the revenue. So whatever money is paying by the customer, it is revenue for us. Okay, so if we have the revenue, we can say we have the profitability as well, because we are doing everything for the profit. Okay, so here money can be your capitalized to the product, or it can here money, or you can say all the project expenses can be transferred to a product, or as well as a different P and L account. P and L account means your profit and loss account, so which will drive, okay, whether we will have a profit or loss at the end of the project. Example here is like engineering, construction and operation project and make to order project. So mostly you will see the customer project in the engineering domain companies. Engineering domain companies like your the company who build the plants, okay, or who builds the big machinery like turbine and boilers based on the customer requirement, big product construction companies and like that. Do we have any question here in the project type? Project type, you should be very clear, like what is the investment, what is the overhead, what is the customer project. If you have any question, I can clarify here.
So hello.
Yes, Rajkumar.
So actually, so you mean to say for this SD role will play role in this customer projects, right?
Okay, so here one more thing you need to know. So the module involves here, okay, the PS, SD, CO, PPM and CPM. Finance and will always be there. So these are the modules. So when I will explain, so customer project, it doesn't mean that always SD will be there. Okay, it's not mandatory. The sales and distribution module will be there, or the people or the involvement of SD is there. So we have a different scenario again in the customer project, how it can be executed. I will explain it when we are doing the customer cycle. It can be done without SD or with SD as well. Okay, without SD, how we
Oh,
will do it? Even with SD, we can have a minimum SD requirement and the maximum SD requirements. Okay, so that's how thing will work. So when we are saying customer project, it's not always necessary that SD module is there or the SD person is there.
okay, okay,
Okay, so we have the other ways of we have the other way as well, like to booking all the other revenues and the other things. I'll explain it during the customer project cycle.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so what is the investment management in S/4HANA? So generally, you can say the investment management module is work for the investment projects, or you can say the capital project. So what happen in the industry? Okay, so few of the customer, what they will do, they will say, okay, we have a program for each year. Okay, you can say they have a fixed budget for each year. So before starting or executing any project, they just wanted to bifurcate, or you can say they classify their budget into a different heads. Okay, and then they will start their execution process. So you can say investment management is something like they wanted to manage their funds for each year, and they wanted to track it later as well, before any idea or any project is executed. So it gives the functionality, or you can say it gives the additional budget functionality to the top management or the top finance team to manage their budget on the higher level. Okay, even though IAM will not provide much detailed functionality, but for the mid organization or sometimes for the big organization as well, it is very useful to handle their year-wise budget. Okay, in a different heads. So they will track, okay, in a particular heads how many project is going on, what is the budget they have assigned, how much budget they have consumed from the reporting point of view. How we will do it, that we will check it in the upcoming sessions. So we can say it provide the support for the planning, investment and financing. Okay, so we can do the planning, and then we can do the investing. Investment is like, first we will do the cost planning, and based on the cost planning we can do our budgeting. IM can be used for your customer project as well as for the overhead project as well, but mostly in industry, whatever we have seen so far, IM generally used for the capex project. But if we talk about the functionality or the capability of IM, it can be used for your overhead project as well. Also, IM is a very tight integration with PS, plant maintenance, and the CO module. Okay, so you can see here it can be in, we can do the financing for our maintenance program. So maintenance program is nothing, it's our overhead works, and we can do the financing for our projects. Okay, so what is the investment project? Like I have explained, it initially it will cost some cost to the company, but long run it will generate the revenues directly or indirectly. Okay, for example, when we are creating any plant, when we are creating a plant or a production unit, initially it will cost some cost to the company, but later, because it will produce the product, it will help to generate the revenues. Or if we are creating an admin building, so admin building is like again a facilities to the customer, so it is giving the indirect revenue to the company, so like that. So initially it will cost cost some cost to the company, but on the long run, either it will generate a revenue directly or indirectly, or whatever we have built, the value of that particular asset will be appreciated. Okay, so this flow chart, or you can say the diagram, is just giving you an overview, like how IM and the other component, like your project system or plant maintenance, is integrated with each other. Okay, so here you can see we have a budget program. So budget program is like, generally the big organization, they have a budget program year basis. Like each year they have a specific amount which they wanted to invest, either in the capital, or you can say they have some amount out of which they will say, okay, like say if they will say, okay, we have $100 million to invest or to spend. So out of $100 million, $70 million we will invest in the capital project, and $30 million we will invest in the overhead projects or the maintenance projects or maintenance works, like that. So based on that, they have a different heads. So first they will distribute the budget into different heads, and out of those heads we will have a different works. So that work can be your project or it can be your maintenance work, like that. So from here, this diagram, you can see, for example, we have a company like ABB Limited. So we just take an example, like let's say ABB Limited program for 2022. So for 2022, we are saying, okay, they have having a 1 million USD as a budget, total budget. And again, in this program, we have a different heads. So these heads is nothing like we are saying, okay, we are bifurcating this budget further based on the company division. Sometimes it can be based on product portfolio or a different technologies or department. So based on certain criteria, like whenever we are doing implementation, so some companies bifurcate their budget mostly like by their division or the department. Some companies, if they have a big product portfolio, so they divide their budget by the product portfolio as well. Or let's say if they are having the well budget for their opex as well as their capex work, so they will do bifurcation like capex, opex, and again in the each head they will do the further bifurcation. So here we are just doing the bifurcation to distribute the overall budget into a small chunks, so it can be track and manage easily for the reporting purpose and for the detailing purpose as well. So you can see ABB Limited, for example, have a three different divisions: infra project division, robotics division, and the transformer division. So what we have did, we have created like three subheads here, and each subheads have certain amount. So this amount is nothing, this we can say, okay, this is our budget. How we are driving the budget? For driving the budget values, either we have did some cost planning earlier. Okay, so I'll explain like what is the background in that. So here first just understand, like we have a company like ABB. So ABB is having a budget for 1 billion for the year of 2022. And what ABB is doing, they have a three different business unit like infra project, robotics, and transformer division. So what they did, they have bifurcated, or you can say the distributed budget further below. Okay, so $500,000 they have distributed to the infra division, 200,000 for to the robotics division, and 300,000 to the transformer division. Now under each head we can have a multiple projects. Okay, we can have a multiple projects or we can have a one projects. So for example, now you can see here under transformer division, we can see, okay, we have a plant modification, one project which will cost 100 USD, and we have a maintenance request, or you can say it's an overhead maintenance work which will cost us the $200,000. Same thing goes with the robotics division. So that's how it's like very high level overview. So it's here you can see whatever is the highlighted area, these are the IM. Okay, so in IM we will do the budget. So we will create a budget program to the higher level, and then we will create a hierarchy of that budget program as per the organization need, and then we will distribute the budget into that hierarchy. Okay, how we are determining the budget values, that will be comes from the planning from the organization. So they will do some planning. Based on that planning, okay, organization will say, okay, out of this we will approve this amount, and then that amount will become your budget, and that budget will distribute further. And again, each hierarchy node, or you can say here the division, have their own different works, like they are executing the project, they are doing some maintenance work. So they will initiate their funding from this particular node, and we call it in the system as a investment position. So this is nothing, this is our investment position, the transformer division. So each investment position can have a one or multiple project or the maintenance works. So from here we will initiate our project, and then we will follow the PS project cycle. So that's the integration point. Same thing we can, so as I explained, IM is linked not only with the PS, it can be integrated with your CO module controlling as well as the plant maintenance module. So it means we can also create our plant maintenance order, and we can initiate the plant maintenance order, Also, we can create the CO order from the IM, and then we can uh, integrate the CO order, and then we can initiate the CO cycle. Okay, so now coming to the master data. What is the master data we have in the investment management? But before explaining the master data, I just wanted to give a more information because we have some candidates who has not worked in the SAP before. Okay, so when we are saying master data, okay, so before coming to the master data, we have to understand like what all our data we have in the SAP system. Generally, we have a three type of data in the SAP system. Okay, so we have the configuration data, we have the master data, and we have the transactional data. We will hear this terminology in our day-to-day SAP working as well. Okay, so also during the implementation support, so we always will hear these terminologies. So for example, who is new to the SAP, so for them it will be a new terminology. Okay, so we have to understand like how we are classifying data into a different types. So we can say, okay, a data can be classified into a three different ways. So one is configurational data, second is master data, and third is the transaction data. So what is configurational data? Okay, and sometimes we call it as a KDS as well. Okay, so when we do the implementation, at that time we call it as a either configuration data, or sometimes as in a more professional way we will call it as a KDS, key data structures. Okay, why we, okay, what is the usage for each type of data? So configuration data, okay, so configuration data is, or you can say the KDS, like when we are doing the configuration in the SAP system. Okay, so configuration means I'll show you, like whenever we are creating any data or any transaction, so all those functionality is controlled by the some backend tables. Okay, some backend tables, or you can say we have some backend in the checks, we have some indicator check boxes, all those information, or sometimes we will create some more information, the profiles and all. So generally configuration data, or KDS you can say, is the type of data which control the standard SAP functionality. Okay, so in SAP already given so many functionalities, but as a consultant what we will do, we will not add any new functionality to the SAP system. We will learn how SAP will work. Okay, how SAP will work, and what is the functionality we can change as per the customer requirement. So just giving you the context, I'll give you a very basic example. For example, we have all worked on the, let's say, the Gmail. Okay, so when we are working in the Gmail give you the functionality to change the background. Okay, so you can change the background to a different images, or also you can define your own labels. Okay, and you can change the setting, like whether you wanted to see 30 email at the time, or you want to see 100 emails at a time, or you wanted to have the interface like mail detail along with the mail summarization. Like that, there are so many settings is there. Okay, so based on that setting you can change the Gmail behavior. Okay, that is a small example, but the same thing apply for the SAP. The only good part here is SAP gives you a lot of functionalities. Okay, so on each point we have a lot of functionalities. As a functional consultant you should know whether it is possible in SAP or not. Okay, if it is possible in SAP, means SAP has the functionality. Now we should know, okay, if we can do it in SAP, how to turn it on or how to turn it off, how to disable it or enable it. So all those things will be controlled by the configuration data. Okay, so that is the main usage. Why we use the configuration data or KDS? First thing, it will control your SAP standard functionality. Second, Sometimes, or you can say the most of the time, configuration data is also, or the KDS is also used by the master data or the transaction data. Now what is the master data and transaction data? So master data, you can say it is our supportive data. We create it, sometimes we will say it a one time data, or it will create like frequency is very less, and it used to create our transaction data. What is transaction data? Transaction data is our actually the main data which end user is entering on a day-to-day basis. For example, if we have implemented SAP in any company, so you will see as a finance user, as a finance end user, what they will do, they will post the journal entry in the system, or you will say they will post the invoices of the vendor or the customer invoices. They will post all those voucher entry into the system. That will become our day-to-day data. I will give you a few examples, then you will have a better understanding. What is frequency? Configuration data is very less, okay, or sometime only once. So why we are saying it's very less? Because when we are doing the implementation, so we, or whenever we are having some changes in the system, at that time only we will create the configuration data. So that's the reason configuration frequency is very less for the configuration data. Sometime you will find, for example, SAP PS is implemented like 10 years ago in an organization. So there is no changes in the configuration data in the last 10 years. So that is also a case you will find. So most of the, some of the things we can say only we create once, and it will not create again until or unless there is a major change in the company. So frequency is very less or sometime only once. So there are some data which we create only once. Okay, and that is also during the implementation time, and that later we will not create any more configuration data. So master data frequency is less. We create master data in a day-to-day basis, but the frequency is very less. So there are few things which we will create on a day-to-day basis. Only few things, not the entire master data. And transaction data frequency is very high. Why it's very high? Because the entire business is depend on the transaction data. For example, finance user is posting the voucher entry. If the inventory user is there, they are posting the inventory account. Okay, so they are posting the inventory, like what materials went in into the system, what is the out, what is the consumption. If we have any sales user, they are entering the sales order data, like we either we have any new sales order, any billing. So all the day-to-day working of the business comes under the transaction data. Mostly configuration data is handled by the functional consultant only. Okay, master data sometimes handled by the functional consultant, or it can be handled by the business core user, or you can say the super user, or a specific user defined by the company. It is not something like all the user handled or work in the configuration data or the master data. But transaction data is something like, okay, all the SAP user will enter the transaction data because they are meant to be like posting their day-to-day activity into the system. So they are, example here is like configuration data is like we are maintaining the company code, country code, city code, like that. Okay, we can see the company code as well. These all are the example of configuration data or the KDS. Master data is like our material master. Okay, so for example, material master, we have a list of materials. So why I have says like less frequency, sometimes we have a new material as well. So we create a new material master, we create a GL account. In terms of IM or PS, we can say investment program. So we will create a investment program in the IM only. So it is also part of master data. Investment position is also a example of master data. Transaction data is like you are posting a general voucher, posting a material consumption account, sales order, purchase order. If we will talk about the IM, then we are saying like your budgeting, and in PS we can say the project, a project creation, budgeting, settlement, like that. These are the example of transaction data. Any question here in the data?
No.
Okay, then good to go. Okay, now coming back to the master data in IAM. Okay, so IAM is actually having a hierarchical data structure. Okay, in IAM, everything is work on the investment program structure. So we have to understand what is the investment program structure. So you can say, as I explained in IAM, what we are doing. So IAM majorly mostly used only for the budget management. And as I explained, budget here is managed yearly. Okay. So yearly means we have a program for each year. In that particular program, we create our hierarchy. Okay. Why we are creating hierarchy? We are creating a hierarchy to further distribute our budget in a different labels as per the business requirement. Sometime business will say, okay, we have only one level or two level hierarchy. Some business have the big hierarchies, okay, based on their business structure. Why we are distributing the budget into a different hierarchies? So we can track it down in the detail level. Okay, and then each hierarchical node have their own projects or the maintenance work. So first thing here is, you can say we have an investment program. So investment program is nothing, it is a part of master data. So we can say, let's say investment program is created for each year, okay, in the system. Some companies or some organization mostly have only one program for each year. So they will say, okay, for example, again we are taking a ABB Limited here. So we are saying, okay, ABB Limited have their capex budget program for each year. They might have $100 million, $50 million, depends on the different scenario, but we are saying, okay, they have only one budget program. So we will create one budget program ABB Limited, and that is for 2023. That is the first thing. So what is the investment program? So investment program is a type of master data. We are creating it into the system. So we are creating a definition. We are saying, okay, what is the name of the program, what is the ID of that program. So we will provide some technical information, like what will be the budget currency, all those information, and what will be the approval year. And underneath of that investment program, we will create a hierarchy. Okay, so this hierarchy is like how we wanted to distribute our budget further into the detail level. Okay, so it can be like by a department, it can be via like your product division, okay, like that. For example, here you can see in the ABB, it is created via their division. So there were three different divisions, like infra project division, robotics division, and the transformer division. Again, transformer division is divided into two, like step up and step down. For example, in transformer we have a two type of transformer, like a step up and the step down. So based on that, they have created the hierarchy. Some other examples, like from my experience, like I have implemented in one company where they are creating a IM structure based on their department. For example, they are saying, okay, uh, capex for 2023, and under that capex 2023 they have a further division, further position, like the admin department, engineering department, operations department, quality department, health and safety, like that. So based on that, they are distributing their budget. Okay, so all these hierarchy node, so these are the hierarchy nodes. So we are saying, okay, so when we are creating a hierarchy, so hierarchy consists of a different nodes, and we have a multiple nodes here. Each node is known as your program position. So you can see, so whether it is like top position, we are saying it a top position, but it's a IM program position. Under the top position we will have a sub position, and under the each sub position we will have further sub position, like this transformer, step up. But all these are the investment program positions, like ABB Limited. Under the ABB Limited we have the infra, robotics, transformer. Under the transformer we have the step up and step down. Okay, so we can create n number of position here. It depends entirely on the business process and how the customer requirement is. Based on that, so we will create a multiple position, and then we will distribute our budget from top to down. Means we are saying, okay, we are having a budget here, so like this. Budget always will go into the top to down approach. I will explain it in further, but just for giving a reference here, we will have the budget from the top, like the on the investment program top position, and then we will distribute from top to the down level. Okay, so that's a hierarchy look likes the entire hierarchy. Okay, the entire hierarchy, which consists of investment program top position or the entire position, it call it as an investment program structure. Okay, so this is called it as an investment program structure. In the investment program structure, we have the investment program and we have the position hierarchy. In position hierarchy, we have a top position, and in the top position, we can have the multiple position based on the customer requirement. Okay. Now let's move to the next. Okay, so here's another example. It's just an example I'm explaining. We will take the same thing, or we can consider a new example as well when we are doing it into the system. Okay, so like we are seeing, okay, what is the business example here? We are seeing a Godrej. Okay, so the Godrej is a company. It's a group of company actually. So underneath of that group, we have a different company, like our Godrej Infotech, Godrej Property, Godrej Consumer Product. Okay, like that. So under the Godrej Property, we can create a project. Like let's say they wanted to create another building inside their portfolio. So like that they can follow. So what they can follow, first thing is like they have a Godrej group. So we can say, okay, under the Godrej group we can have one budget structure. That budget structure have a three different position, and each position here is representing a company in itself. Okay, so here you can see it's a different point of view. So earlier we have seen a one company like ABB Limited, and in that company we have the position structure is like based on their division, but here we are talking about the entire group. Okay, it's a group of companies. So what they have did, they have created based on their different companies like Godrej Infotech, Godrej Consumer Product, Godrej Property. It can also have further sub hierarchies, but just for context we are saying, okay, under this Godrej Property they wanted to do, or you can say they wanted to construct an office. So how the cycle will go, like they will do some analysis, feasibility, and based on that they will do the approval and rejection. So these all are the part of investment process. Okay, so first, okay, so whenever we are saying, okay, we are wanted to construct an office or anything like a plant unit, it's not straightforward. Okay, so we are not saying, okay, do it. We will, so management will ask so many questions and we have to provide certain rationales. Okay, what is the benefit for the company, why we are investing such money. Okay, we have to check our cash flow, we have to check the fund availability, whether it will be good for the long run or not. So we will check all those things. So that's why we are saying the analysis. So we will ask something like, okay, what will be the estimated amount it requires, whether it will be feasible, whether do we wanted to go at this moment. So based on that, like each company have their own process to follow. They will approve and reject. Once they will approve, then we will say, okay, now the fund is approved, now you can go for the project execution. And then the project execution cycle will start. So like we can say, okay, now we have the fund, we can start our project, like that. So this is again a picture, just take at this moment. This moment might be, it will be very it's looking complex, but it is a very good picture which will gives you an idea how the IM PS is linking and with the other component as well. So the total integration, it is this image is showing. Okay, so for example, we have a capital investment program. Okay, so here we have a hierarchy. What we are doing some planning how we are doing. So there are different mechanism of doing the planning. Okay, so like the planning is coming from the appropriation request, or it can come from the other as well. Okay, so you can see plan can become from the appropriation request, or it is coming from the other WBS element and order as well. So it is coming to the investment program, then from the investment program it is converting into the budget and then distributing it further to the, you can say, on the WBS element and order. And here we are having the actual cost, and then it will is converting to your AUC fixed asset like that. Okay, I'm not explaining it in detail here. When we are doing one by one each step, then you will have a better understanding. This picture will come again, then you will have the more understanding on this. Now coming to the organization structure. Okay, organization structure is very important in the SAP system. Okay, so what is the organization structure? So organization structure, we can say how a company's logical entity is created into the system. Okay, that is our organizational structure. So for example, when we are saying okay and when we are saying okay, SAP is implemented for ABB Limited. Okay, that's fine. That ABB, we are creating we are implementing SAP for the ABB. But how we are defining their logical, or you can say the sometimes the legal entities as well in the system, how we are defining all those logical entities in the system. So we are creating all those information via org structure. Okay, so as the name suggests, it is giving the organization structure, means how the things look like or created into the SAP system. So a company can have a multiple companies or group of companies. So we can have a controlling multiple company code. So this information is like controlling area, like how many controlling area we have. We are having a one controlling area. Under the controlling area we have the profit center, cost center. Okay, and under the controlling area we have linked the company code. So these all are the different modules of SAP system. For example, FI, in FI we have the company code, credit control area, concerns. In CO we have a controlling area, profit center, cost center. If we talk about the plant maintenance, in plant maintenance we created the maintenance plant, planning plant, planner group, location. And same thing for PPM and MM. In PPM we created the plant, purchasing organization, and storage location. Now here you can notice one thing. There is nothing for the PS and FI, sorry, PS and IM. So in this entire structure we have like org structure is, we have some more elements as well in the org structure from the sales SD module and few other module as well. But the noticeable part here is there is no information from the IM as well as the PS. Okay, so what it does mean? It means PS does not have their own organization structure. It means we don't create any element into the SAP system as a part of project system or the investment management. Rather, we use the component from a different module. So we use the company code from the FI, we use the controlling area from the CO, we use the plant from MM. Like that we use. Okay. So we never define as a functional consultant, or you can say as a IMPS functional consultant, you never define what will be the organizational structure. Okay. We use the organizational structure which is already created by a different consultant based on their business discussion. Okay. This is just an example like how it will look like. Mm, So for example, you can see the CO we have like controlling area. Okay, controlling area 1000, and then we have the profit centers, cost center, in and then that company code, that controlling area have a three different company code. Like I have example, like we have a Godrej group of companies, let's say, and inside that group of companies we have a three company like a Godrej Property, Godrej Infotech, and Godrej Consumer Product. And then each company have a different plant like Mumbai plant, Delhi plant, and they have purchase organization, storage location like that. So there is nothing from the IM and PS. Rather, we will use the data from the other modules or the structure. Okay, so these are the some of the theoretical as well as the logical explanation of the high level elements. For example, what is a controlling area? Okay, so controlling area is like responsible for your all management cost and profit. Under the controlling area we have the company code, and that is in one to many relationship. It means one controlling area can have a one company code or it can have a multiple company code. Okay, but one company code cannot be linked to multiple controlling area. One controlling area will have the same chart of account and the fiscal year variant. So when we are creating a controlling area into the system, okay, so let's say we have a group of companies where they have a business in a different countries, or you can say they have a different companies in multiple countries. Okay, so based on certain factors like what is their fiscal year variant, okay, how their chart of account look like, currency, reporting currency, based on certain conditions, the finance consultant or a CEO consultant will decide, okay, what should be the controlling area look like, whether it can be one or whether it can be multiple. Okay, now under the controlling area we have the company code. So company code, we will do our accounting. Okay, so company code generally represent a legal entity of the company. Okay, let's say if a group of company have 100 legal companies, so we will create 100 company code into the system with the same name. There are some other linked configuration as well, like the currency, tax information. Okay, all those information is configured or linked to the company code. So we will utilize those functionalities whatever is already created by the finance or CEO consultant. We will not going into the detail like what all those company code information and the controlling area. Chart of account is like list of your GL accounts which is created for the organization. So we will use those GL accounts. So like as of chart of account, we will create a GL accounts and we will have the classification on the GL account, whether it is our uh, balance sheet, profit and loss, like that. It's a bank GL, like that we create a multiple GL accounts. Fiscal year variant is like what is the, you can say, the calendar follows the company. For example, in India we follows like April to March. Some company follows the Jan to December. Some company follow the September to August. So that will become our fiscal year variant. So we will do that setting in the system. Like what is our fiscal variant? What will be the first month as per the company period? Okay. So for example, if we are saying, okay, company is following the Jan to December, it means the first period will be the January. Okay. And the 12th period will be the December. If a company is following their fiscal year as a you can, or the financial year as a September to August, so it means September will be their first period. So like that the setting is made into the system. For example, in India, April will be considered as a first month into the system. April will be the first financial period into the system. Okay, so here, like again, like now in detail, like what is an investment program? So investment programs is like, okay, consisting of your positions and the other information. It will provide you the functionality for the planning and budgeting. Okay, how you are doing the planning and budgeting, we have a different ways of doing that, but it will give you the functionality to the planning and the budgeting for their entire investment program structure, or you can say the position. Here it is an example. We will create the same thing in the system like this. I will show you. Like let's say we are saying, okay, we have the overall investment, what is the plan value, what is the budget value, and what is the distribution. So distribution means so we are saying, okay, we have a 1500 as a plan, but we have assigned the budget value only 1200, and out of 1200 we have only distributed 1000. So what is this mean distribution? So for example, whatever is their supposition like this, okay, they have the 1000 as a budget, so we can just calculate 300, 400, and 300 is 1000. So like that it is collecting information from their sub positions. Okay, so here the thing is we need to understand planning works bottom to up approach, and budgeting will works top to the down approach. And in the IM we have two things, the program. So program is consisting of two part, your investment program type and the investment program plus investment position. So all these are the positions. And we have the investment measures. So what is the investment measures? Investment measures means like what we are doing. So measures, it can be your PS project, it can be your maintenance order, or it can be your C order. So we can have a three type of measure into the system. So IM measures, we can take three measures. We have the PS project as a measure, we have the SAP PM order, and we have the CO order. CO order is your controlling order. So these three type of object can be considered as a measure. So based on our requirement and what we are suggesting, we can identify, okay, what will be the outcome of our work, and that will be considered as a investment measures. Measures means like we are doing something and we are measuring information, the actual cost, budgeting on these three particular object. Okay, so these are some of the some of the we can say not in very much detail, but yeah, high level of the what we have in the IM. So in IM, we can say on the data point of view, master data point of view, we have the investment program, we have the investment position, and the measures. Whatever we are doing only on these three things, like the investment program, position, and the measures. For example, we are doing the planning, we will do the budgeting, distribution, how we will create the measures, different measures like your project, your PM order, your CO order, how we will going to create, what is the configuration behind, how we will determine the cost planning. So everything we will do on these objects. Okay, so in the upcoming session we will take an example of the, so we will start from the investment program master data. First we will go in the deep inside, like what is the program, what is the position, how we will create into the system. Okay, so we will have our own example or a business case, so we will follow that business case, and we will create the something like this one hierarchy into the system, and then we will follow the further steps. And before just that, I think let me just explain this thing information as well. So these few are the technical, or you can say it's the something which every functional consultant should know. Okay, the information about the SAP, like how to access the SAP S for HANA system specifically. Okay, so we can access SAP via three mediums. So first is like you're using SAP GUI, like your graphical user interface. Okay, so what is a GUI? So GUI is like your a software which we will install in our system, and then we will maintain the connection detail, and from there we will access the SAP S/4HANA system. So that is a one way. Second way is like we will use either portal, NetWeaver, or NWBC. So NWBC is like your business client. It's like a web based, so we have to execute the NWBC, and from that as well we can access the S/4HANA system, which makes the S/4HANA different than the ECC is the SAP Fiori. So now we have one more user interface which is known as SAP Fiori. So SAP Fiori is again a web-based interface where we will have some, you can say, different user interface or UI. So based on that we will access the S/4HANA. So we can opt any of the three method. Sometime you will see in the company, okay, either where you're already working in or will going to work, you will see they are working from the GUI portal or the Fiori. Nowadays, like what is going on nowadays, every company is moving to the SAP Fiori, or they called it as a SAP Fiori first approach. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you have already heard this term, but this is a new term in the SAP market. Okay, the Fiori first approach. I will explain it in detail like at the end of the course. So Fiori first approach, we will do certain things. So the motive of the organization is nowadays, whoever is already working on the SAP, now they don't want to use the NWBC or GUI. They want everything will be accessed via the Fiori. So Fiori has their own limitations. Okay, so we cannot do everything in the Fiori. So for that we use some other alternatives. Okay, so doing that alternative is called it as a Fiori first approach. So this is called a Fiori first approach. So nowadays, most of the organization, especially big organization, I have already worked on two Fiori first program. Okay, so they are moving every users, every program to the Fiori. So that's how we will access the S/4HANA system. So we have a three different ways. So in our training program, we will going to use the SAP GUI most of the time, but I will show you the Fiori application as well. Why we are not going to use the Fiori? Because Fiori has a limitation in terms of the IM and PS. It's not in the IM and PS. From the other module as well, we don't have everything on the Fiori as of now. For that only we will use the Fiori first approach, but that is a different thing. I will explain like how it will work. But from the learning and the configuration point of view, we will use the SAP GUI interface. I'll show you like how the GUI will look like. uh, okay, so you will receive the login information of the SAP system. So once if you will have any difficulty like how to open the remote system, let me know, I will help. So I am in a remote system. Okay, so this is a remote system. You will get the information of the remote system, you will log in into that remote system, and inside that remote system we will have a SAP logon. So this SAP logon is the software which I was talk about. Like this is a GUI software. Here we will maintain our connections. Okay, and then we will open the SAP. So here you can see we have the client. So client is like in which client we wanted to log in, and then we will provide our username and password. Okay, so that's the first screen after the login. I will explain the more information like what is the SAP menu and the other information as and whenever we are doing any task into the system. Just for a starter, I'm showing this. So this is a GUI. So when we are saying how to access by a Fiori, so generally Fiori is accessed by a URL. So for example, in most of the organization, they have defined a URL with their domain name. So we will just open that URL and then we will log in into the system. We don't need to install any software. So for example, I'll show you. I'm just using an indirect approach, but still it. mm, So something like you can say company will provide us a URL, so we can open that URL directly. We don't need to have a SAP GUI software if we are executing the Fiori. So this is a Fiori screen. So in Fiori we have a multiple application. Each application is represented by this square box, and this box is called it as a Fiori tile. Okay, so each tile is representing a application or a transaction code of SAP system. Okay, so we will click on this tile and it will open that application. Okay, so you can see a there are so many things here. Let me check if we have anything related to PS here. Not the PS, but we have something related with the PPM. No problem, I'll show that. So like that, we have a multiple applications. It is, this user interface is very good in terms of looking and the feature wise as well. So that's the reason nowadays company is moving towards the Fury, because it's clean user interface. It has a less number of buttons and the other stuff, so user don't confuse usually. Okay, apart from this, when we are seeing, okay, we are using the SAP GUI, we can change the theme as well. Okay, so some customer also have this as a preference, so they are using the GUI, but in GUI we can change the setting. For example, we can change the theme. Okay, so theme, we can change the visual design, theme setting, and in the theme we can use the Belize. So we have a Belize theme. Okay, so this Belize theme is actually SAP created one more theme to, you can say, make it same thing like as a Fieri user interface. So if we will change the theme and if we will open it again, it will open in the same way as Fieri, like only the interface. It still, we are accessing everything from the GUI, but the icon, the color schemes, and the text, it will appear somewhat, it appears like a Fieri. It will give you a flavor of Fieri. Okay, so what is the SAP landscape? Okay, so I want to also touch upon this topic. So landscape is like how our SAP system is designed. Okay, so I am giving you an example of the most typical SAP landscape. Mostly you will find something or somewhat the similar like this into the any organization. So landscape means how our SAP system it divides. Okay, so we have a different type of SAP system. Okay, so what is the mean of different type? You can say we have a three different SAP boxes, or you can say three different SAP servers, which is like your development, quality, and production. Why am I explaining this landscape? As a implement, as a functional consultant, you should know what is the landscape will look like. Here in the training system, we will have only one system, but in reality, you will have a three or more system. Okay, at least you will get the three. It can be more based on the some organization have four or five based on the level of quality or the security they want. But at least you will get the three. So in three layer SAP landscape system, we have a three type of system: the development, the quality, and production. Sometimes quality system called it as a testing system, UAT, and a training system. And then we have a production. As a functional consultant, we mostly do our work in the development system. Means we are doing our configuration, our testing, or any our custom development. So what is the custom development? Means if we are doing any programming. So all these functional and the technical related changes we are doing into the development system. Once we are done with the configuration or the development, and then we will test, and then we will say, okay, now it is working fine as per the customer requirement. Then we will move all our changes to the different system. So first we will move to the quality system. So you can see the link. First it is moving to the quality system, and then it will move to the production system. So we will move the changes to the quality system. Why we are moving the quality system? So we can ask the business user to test whether it is working as per their expectation or not, or we can do some other testing as well, like your SIT, regression testing, all those testing in the other client. Once we are satisfied, client will say, okay, yes, it is working fine. Then we will move our changes to the production system. Production system is our real-time transaction system. Real-time transaction system means most of the business users, you can say all the business users have the access in the production system only. Okay, so production system will consider as a real-time system. Whatever they are doing for their day-to-day business, they will do it in the production. Some business users have the access of quality system also only for the UAT testing and the training purposes, no real-time purposes. For any real-time, we will use the production system. Now the question comes here is how the changes is moving from one system to another. Okay, how we are moving our changes from development system to quality to the production. So we have a one functionality in the system which is known as the transport request. So you will see this thing when we are doing the configuration. So whenever we are doing any configuration or any system changes, okay, so any system changes mean it can be in terms of the configuration, or if any technical consultant will creating a program, system will ask you to capture all those changes in one request. Okay, so transport request is a type of object in which we will include all our changes. So system will know, okay, you have did this configuration, you have added this configuration data, you have changed this program, everything will be captured in that transport request. And then once we are done with our testing and everything, we will move that transport request to different system. So first we will move it to the quality, and once we are saying okay it is working fine, then we will move it to the production. Like that we will move the changes. So from here we have information like, okay, so we have a three system: development, quality, and production. In the development system, again you will see three different client. Okay, so what is the client? So client is like when we have a one physical server or a logical server, so we divide that particular server into a three different areas. Okay, I think most of you already have worked on the SAP, so you knows about it, but I think Mrinali has not worked in the SAP, so for her it will be a bit technical. So I'll explain in detail if required. So in development system, again we have a three different client. So three different client is a general approach. It can be minimum two. Okay, minimum two, maximum there is no limit as per the business requirement. Some companies have a three, some companies have four, five, but minimum we require three, two. So two is a minimum which we need on the development system. Three is a good to have, and four, five is depend on the companies. So what is the client? We have a golden client. Okay, remember this term. What is a golden client? Okay, so golden client, I just an example like client 100. Golden client is used to do the configuration. Okay, so we do only the configuration, no master data, no transactional data. We will not create any transactional data and or master data. Master data we will create only if it is required for the configuration. We will not create any general master data. And then in the same development system we have another client which will use, or you can say if it is a two client system, then we have another client where you can do the testing. And sometimes company will have a organization have a different client. For example, they will have a different client for the technical development where only the aware person or the technical team have the access, so they will do the programming and the program changes. And then we will have a testing client. It's a different client where we will create the master data or transaction data and we will do the testing. Okay, any question here from the SAP landscape, how to access SAP, like whatever I have explained so far?
No, not for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think today's session is mostly for the theoretical, but yeah, in next session what we will do, we will touch the investment program structure, like what is the investment program structure. We will create some data as well in the system, and if time permits, I will explain the configuration behind those investment structure as well. Okay, so I think yeah, so from today point of view, it's mostly the overview of IM, like what we have in the IM, what is the SAP system, how to access the SAP system, what is the landscape look like, and the development system. If you have any question, you can ask in the next session before starting, like before we will start the next session. And still, if you have any question, we can discuss it now. Else, we can close it.
So all the study material from where will we get?
So for study materials, you will receive, I think, few books as well as the recording. Okay, so all the recording you will receive, and those recording and the content will be accessed via the this MyOneDo application. So Rama will share you the information. Okay, so you will receive the login information so that you can log in via the browser, web browser, or as well as there is an Android application as well, I think. So from there you can access all those content.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, then if we don't have anything, I'm closing this session, and thanks for attending the session. We will connect in the next session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.